What is up, everybody? Everyone do their exercise and their homework and all that fun stuff. Anyone have a win over the last couple of days? Well, I'm letting everyone in. We're gonna get started here in probably about the next 5 minutes. No one? You guys are quiet this morning. Let's see. Great to see you, Monica, Estriana, Tina. Thank you for putting your cameras on. There's Mike. Usually still in bed. What? You guys don't wake up at 4 a.m. and do a cold plunge? Let's see. There we go. Couldn't start without Jasper. Jasper asked great questions yesterday. I like that. Let's see. Let me finish letting all these late people in. Yeah, replay was posted already in Success Finder. Da da da. Let's see. There's Keith. Yeah, make sure you guys know how to find everything. It's all in Success Finder. I made it super easy, all in one place. Don't have to go looking everywhere for stuff.
Laurel, I love your daily drops. They are brilliant. We were at the hospital this morning waiting for the doctor, like you know what it's like, and we were going through them all, and it was like I don't know how to explain it. It was just gold, especially being out of the office, and we just when you keep getting inspiration and you see things differently. Because obviously, when we're in your trainings, there's so much information. Sometimes it's overwhelming. And this morning we were at there and we were like, I took a notebook with me and I was like making all these notes and just hearing things differently. The more we hear how you say things differently, the more inspired we become, and the more we can go away and go, okay, we're going to do this differently now. Oh, this is how it looks like now. Because when we hear things the first time, we're in our own minds at the situation we're in right now. Okay, and the more situations we experience, and then the more things we hear from you, the different we see, the different ways we see things. Sorry, I've got Spanish in my head. I'm trying to speak English. So
Yeah, no worries. No, I
that's why
appreciate
that's why I
I
speak back
appreciate that.
sometimes. So
Yeah,
like
no, I appreciate that. Yeah, those are actually really fun to do because it just kind of forces me to reflect on everything that I've learned, and sometimes they're good reminders for me too. Because I'm like, "Oh crap, like I forgot, like I need to still be doing this," or, um I hang out with like a lot of amazing people and I learn so many amazing things. And it's funny because a lot of the things that sometimes are the most valuable are the things that were just said in passing in a conversation, where the person who said it, they have no idea how much of an impact that one thing that they said made, right? It's funny. I was listening to Dan Henry and man, I forgot who he was talking to, but they were having a conversation and he was talking about how the time that he saw Alex Becker and Sam Ovens and him, they were all talking. They went to this big conference or whatever, And Sam and Dan were talking about how they don't even track their stuff in Facebook anymore because it's like the tracking has just gotten so horrible. And Alex Becker was like, "Hey guys, what are you guys talking about?" And they started the conversation. And after 5 minutes, Alex Becker was like, "Later, guys, I'm out." And Dan and Sam were like, "Dude, the conference hasn't even started yet." He's like, "I got exactly what I needed." And that day, Alex Becker went home and created Hyros, right? And so that's why, like, I always tell people you need to go and invest in person events. Like, there's so much, like, and most of the time, it's never from the stuff that you get on the stage, it's always in the conversations that happen in between. Because when you hang around people who are all there working towards the same goal, there's just something magical that happens at events, you know? Like like Vince Reed, him and Billie Jean, the same thing happened with Billy where they were at an event and Billy was like, "That's what I needed to hear." And he walked out and Vince is like, "Dude, what the hell?" Like he texted him. He's like, "Where'd you go?" And Billy was like, "What that dude just said was exactly what I needed to hear. Now I got to go to work." And it's just amazing to hear the same story from different people in our industry. And I'm like, holy shit. Like it's so true though, because I had one of those moments at TNC. Vince Reed was speaking, and there was something that I don't even remember the dude's name, but he said something about the way that you weave in YouTube videos. Like you start with one and then you weave these CTAs in, but they're not really CTAs, that they're more like integrations. And I looked at Christine, I was like, that is all I needed to hear from this presentation. And we walked out and went and had a drink. Because there is a such thing as like information overload where you forget the thing that you really needed to hear at that moment, right? And so I love in person events. As a matter of fact, Nick and I are having an in person event in March. If you guys want to come, just let me know. There's no sales page, there's no nothing. Just let me know. That's how Nick and I roll. We don't try to sell anyone on being in the room with us. Um, that's just how we do. And you'll get a little experience. Nick and I are doing a 3 day. I put that in Success Finder for you guys. You can RSVP to it. It starts Sunday morning. We never really do stuff on Sunday. But we were like, what the fuck? Let's start Sunday. We'll do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we'll help people who are on the call get their planning and everything done for 2025. Yeah, so the March event's going to be the March 8th and 9th in Phoenix at Joe Polish's office. Nick and Joe have the same office, so Joe usually is there, which is awesome. Um, Never really know who's going to show up at Nick's events for sure. Chris Voss was hanging out. There are so many people. RFK Jr., whether you like politics or not, it's kind of cool to see people that you're like, oh shit, that's so and so, you know? Um, but yeah, the live events in Phoenix, March 8th and 9th. Um, it's in Tempe, which is outside of Phoenix. And yeah, we're just gonna be hanging out and doing some really cool stuff. Um, let's see. Just reading the comments here. But yeah, other than that, we're gonna get started. Does anyone have any questions about what we've covered so far before we kind of move on?
Laurel, I have a question because I looked at the smaller micro steps. I did the whole art. That was a thing. That what workbook was. I sat with it literally like reading my clients' testimonials and doing it that way. And still, I feel like the value bombs that I give every day, I'm not. It's like it's a blend probably of I do hypnosis. So when I give someone
Mhm.
hypnosis, whether it's for imposter syndrome, visibility blocks, whatever it is, it's still almost like it's the full thing. And maybe I just need to give them a worksheet but then I listened to you yesterday and you're like, I just give everything for free. And I'm like, well, that's where I get confused because in the messaging, I'm like, so what do you have? Which of these are more, are profound for you. But it's once I give them that and then I ask them if they do, oh yeah, it's great. That's where I get stuck. It's like, okay, what's the next step there?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll tell you a little anecdote here. So we just had Nick and I just had our 1 year of Success Circle,
Hmm.
right? And so we have people who are up for renewal. And the way that we do things is we will not go to every person and ask them to renewal. As a matter of fact, we did not send them a notification or anything like that. Reason being is that if we didn't serve them at our highest level within the last year and they don't ask to be in Success Circle for another year, we haven't done our job. So I tell you guys that because that's the way that I look at the free value that I'm giving away in Messenger. That if I have done my job correctly, I will never have to pitch anyone. They will always ask me, how do I get more of that? How do I work with you personally to do that? Right? And so what you do isn't just one session, right?
No.
There has to be some pre-work or there has to be something that leads up to them being a great client that's going to come to you over and over again. And so we need to position our free thing or our low ticket thing to just be so freaking good that they're like, how do I sign up ongoing for this?
Yeah. So more
That's the way
instead
that
of,
I look at it.
yeah, I'm thinking that. So like my one of my logo ticket things, like just remove the block now yourself. You can do it by yourself, you know? And maybe I'm
Mhm.
not giving that for free, but I can give pieces of that for free.
Yeah, there's like little wins here. Like I work like there I don't know, there's something about like hypnotherapists. Like I attract so many of you guys and a lot of the things that work well as value bombs are the audios. Like a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
my
what I
clients will
did.
give like audios, and those
Uh-huh.
tend to work really, really well because when you have an audio, right? Because it's a great way to pull people who are your ideal clients. But again, you have to find out what that most immediate constraint is because you're like, look, you can listen to this audio and it will help with XYZ, but the reason that you're actually going through this is actually because of this. Would it be worth a quick 15-minute assessment call so that we could actually see? I don't even know if I can help you right now, but would it be worth 15 minutes if I can walk you through a couple of things and we could literally get this problem taken care of? But you see
Hmm.
how we're just using it as the doorway because remember, the value bomb's job is to reveal the bigger problem, not to solve the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing is that I'm putting everything in this one thing since I've solved the problem for many clients that I'm just putting it all in there instead of just getting a little piece. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And if you guys notice, all I'm like teaching you guys how to do is do the thing that we would do in person, right? Like if someone walked into my office and sat in my chair, all I'm doing is having a messenger conversation exactly the same way as I would have if someone's sitting right here in front of me, right?
Yeah, and I think in the past you've read some of my messages and I'm less empathetic. I don't know why on the messenger, so I just need to put that empathy on when I'm in those calls or
100%.
this empathy.
100%. Like just treat people like they're a client before they're a client, right? Like I always tell you guys, act as if that person has just paid you $500 to solve their most immediate constraint in the next 10 minutes. What would you ask them in person? Let's see, Tina and Dan. Dan's blurry. He keeps
I
like,
know, but we've got a gym behind us right now, Laura. We can unblur. We're in the middle of moving, so it's always a bit challenging,
yeah,
isn't it?
no worries.
There you go.
Now you can see me.
He's not swimming anymore.
Which I'm the one asking the question.
Go for
Hello.
it.
So, one of the things I noticed, I finished the 50 pieces of content exercise again, and I defaulted to the people who I solve the most problems for.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized now that's the person who doesn't. Those aren't the people who I can serve the most or help the most in the shortest period of time. I've got a couple of clients who I can get really great results for in a shorter period of time, but I wasn't as familiar with every single step of the process and what I would do for them. Would you?
Okay.
Sorry, I'll clarify the question. Would you create the 15 pieces of content uniquely for that ideal person, or would you do it for the person you work with the most and you're the most familiar with?
So here's the thing, right? We can only become experts at what we do by repetition of getting results for that type of person, right? So you don't know if you don't have enough experience that that person is your ceiling client if you've never hands-on worked with that type of person, right? And so I would start with like, you know how the other day I gave you guys the example when I first started coming from television, I just knew how to do a $5 video ad. And so I started there. I was like, I know $5 ads work. It's launched television commercials, and television commercials get people to walk into car dealerships and all of these things. I know I could do that. Um, and I did that over and over again. And then when I got my first, online business owner asking me, which was an MLM, by the way, they were like, would this work for this? And I was like, I don't know. Let's
Let's
hop on a
try.
Zoom call. Let's hop on a Zoom call and let's figure it out. Well, can I record this? And I just kept doing that. And then one day Chad Thibodeau comes to me and he's like, hey, would this work for a webinar? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, why don't you come to my office and we'll map this out? And I was like, let's test it. And we got some testing. I was like, holy crap, this works really, really well. And he invited me to speak at his event. And people started asking me, will this work for an ebook? I don't know. What's an ebook funnel? Right. So you see,
Yeah.
it was like but I started with what I know. And then it turned into, yes, exactly, Dr. Tony, I engaged the field. Right. I didn't know who my ceiling clients were. Like the ceiling clients that I have now, they weren't my ceiling clients 3 years ago because I hadn't serviced those type of people, right? It wasn't until I started working with the Dan Henrys of the industry and Joel Irway that I'm like, holy crap, if I get these like whales of these industry people in my strategy, man, they get a huge return. But I didn't know that 6 years ago.
Okay, that makes sense. So we'll just carry on doing what we're doing then, Laurel, and
Yeah.
Engage us.
yeah, carry on doing 15 pieces of content, and like you keep testing when people come to us, and if we think we can do it, we'll carry on doing that and then learn more as we go.
100%. And guys, do you know the funnel that Dan Henry uses to get, like, he just closed over 600,000, I want to say, in his last 3 days from his challenge. Do you guys want to know what funnel of mine that he's using? Does anyone want to take a stab in Messenger? Which funnel is he using?
I didn't see what he's up to. I feel
The
terrible now.
two-step.
He's using the two-step, the fast funnel. Absolutely. That's how he's getting people into his challenge. He's literally messenger ads, like 2 steps. Even someone like that, right? He knows how expensive like VSL funnels and all of that stuff is. Like even he is using the simplest of my ad strategies. As a matter of fact, he had me come in and teach the power content strategy on his last epic pitch challenge because he understands now the importance of building an audience because he's experienced it. He stopped running ads for years, honestly, like until like him and I started working together about 2 years ago. And as a friend, it's more of a friendship. He doesn't pay me, but I get access to someone who has obviously had a lot of success. However you feel about Dan Henry, I know he says some questionable things sometimes, but he's got a really brilliant marketing mind. And people are always like, you should never work for free. I was like, there's no amount of money that Dan could pay me that would be more valuable than having access to him anytime that I need him, right? Just to give me really great advice. So it's awesome. Emma.
Okay. Good morning. So
Good morning.
I have been telling you that I'm doing the videos every day, and today is my 21 day.
Hey,
And
congratulations on that. That's huge. Good job.
Thank you. And so then I noticed that I'm getting people they are engaging with me, and I engaged with somebody last week, and I did the way you explain it, that I offer the value bomb, and then I follow up with a question, and I follow up with a question, and then he answered the question, and then he got back to me yesterday, so then I'm going to get back to him today and see if he wants to have a call. And I did also in the I sent him the Loom video, like the way you said it, and I also said it, would it worth 10 minutes of your time if I explain this to you? Yeah, so I'm very happy for that. I just wanted to share that.
That's awesome. And all you were doing was just ping pong, as Nick says, right? It's a ping pong match. Like a lot
Yes.
of people want to like slam the conversation down, but it's like, how would you have a conversation in real time, right?
Yes. See, and the thing is that, so then I know like what is his situation. So then I just want to uh, get offer my to work for free, because that's what I really want. I just want a review on my thing. My first few clients, I want to work for them for free.
Absolutely. I mean, I worked for free. I want to say like my very first mentor, he told me he wanted me to take at least 70 calls in 90 days, 20-minute calls, and just help people for free. And the only caveat was people would let me record the Zoom calls and use it for content. And so yeah, ask for the case study. That's how I got off the ground, was, just doing a lot of work for free. Like I did so much work, like Chad Thibodeau. Like I owe him a lot. Like he would say, "Hey, I'm doing this event." And I would pay money to fly across the country to go be the ad expert at his event and work for free and set up his clients' ads for free. Why? Because I was getting case studies and testimonials and all of that stuff. And I invested thousands of dollars. Like, right? Like, I wasn't paid thousands of dollars. I invested thousands of dollars to do work for people. But it was a huge payoff. Yeah.
So thank you, thank you. I'm following everything. I just want to, by the end of the 90 days. So my next thing, because at the beginning when I started the year, I wanted to do my videos. I'm doing my videos, and now I know how to set up the videos at what time during the day, and that's not a non-negotiable. So now that my next thing is to then visit the places. So I'm going
Yep.
to start next week visiting the places, and like you said, start going, let's say, to 5 places per week, and that's what I'm going to start doing.
Yep. 100%. Dr. Tony.
Oh, I'm on the go. So, hi everybody. I have a question. Laurel, please be gentle. It's been a rough season. The question is, I've never run ads for like register for my challenge. So I'm doing a 5-day intensive. I tested it out, it went really well. Lots of videos so I followed one of my other coaches, and during the event, every day they had to make a video. Tip, y'all. What was your takeaway? Why was this? And what would you tell a friend who's thinking about registering? So I have these great, you'll be so proud of me. I have these great videos to market the event this time and use ads. And so I'm really excited about it, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I wanted to make sure I set up the right like ecosystem, because I moved it to the end of February to get plenty of ramp to get it up, get it running. And I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, because I kind of want to just kind of start fresh and build a whole new thing for this. So I understand. So Hot 7 we had, but I want to switch out some videos. What do you think I should be doing?
It's the same thing. Just put together the ecosystem. Just follow the process. It's the same, no matter what type of offer you have.
Oh, okay. So instead of like right now, I want to maybe shut off a couple like VSL or whatever, and then kind of replace this thing I want to do. Is that correct?
So let's keep the topic on what we're talking about today. That way no one gets confused. But as we're going through the stuff that we're doing today, you'll get your answer. But the answer is the ecosystem. Phase 3.
Phase 3. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't overlooking some difference when you're part of that part, because once you get so many ads running, it's a little, I'm new. I mean, it's not fun.
If you just stick to the ROAS playbook that I created for you guys, just stick to that playbook. Like it's the same, like you'll see, like everyone will see that it's the same brick and mortar. Everyone's like, but my business is different. It's not.
It's not. Okay. I'll mind my business and try to figure it out. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. So today we're gonna have some fun, y'all. Everything hopefully will come together today. So, and actually, that was really great that Dr. Tony kind of jumped in, because we're actually gonna talk about that first today, because there's so many people who are like, Laurel, I was in this program and this coach told me I need to put together this type of funnel. I was in another program and this coach told me I should put together this type of funnel, right? And so before we get started, we're going to just kind of walk through all of the different types of funnels and what's appropriate for where you are in your business. Okay. Now, the first thing that I want to do, don't worry, guys, it's a different triangle than yesterday. But if I draw this triangle, right? And let's say that like I want to lose weight, right? The most effective thing that I can do right now is if I fix my diet, right? That's like the main thing that most people say. And then they're like, well, let's do exercise, right? Then let's do a specific diet. Maybe it's carnivore, maybe it's whatever, right? And then let's use different tools like supplements and all of this stuff, right? As I go up this triangle, I'm going to get diminished returns, right? Because if I fix my diet right here, this is where I'm going to lose the most amount of weight the fastest, right? Does that make sense? Right? Because they always say what abs are made in the kitchen, right? But then once you add exercise, you're going to optimize. Once you add a specific diet, you're going to optimize, right? And then once you add in supplements and stuff, you're going to be completely optimized up there. Okay? So if we take this same concept, right? For those of you guys who need to validate an offer, right? Meaning you're not really talking to enough people, you've never sold your offer. You need the most volume of what? Conversations, right? Wouldn't you say? Conversations are the fastest path to cash. Then, when you're having enough conversations, we want to add just a little bit of friction, right? But you still want to keep volume high, right? Then, when you're having a large amount of volume of phone calls, you're like, man, I want to add some friction, right? So we're going to add more friction to fix the quality. And then, when that works, you want to liquidate. So the reason that my $5 ad strategy works so well is because it's targeting this right here. This is where you're going to have the highest return on ad spend, right? Because just like this, the higher that you go up this triangle, the higher the diminished returns. So when you need the most volume of conversations, you need the least amount of friction. So this is where we go add to Messenger, right? The fast funnel. Then when we're having 100 plus conversations a week, we probably want to add, we want to add a little bit of friction. So this is when we go power offer, add to application. When we're getting 5 to 10 calls a day, we probably want to add some friction for higher quality. This is where we go VSL to application, right? Add to VSL to application. Then when we're rolling in the dough and we're like, well, I don't want to keep spending money on ads, we want to liquidate that ad spend and do a slow funnel, right? A self-liquidating offer funnel, low ticket offer funnel. So we'll go add to self-liquidating offer to application to high ticket. Does that make sense? But just know the higher that you go, you get diminishing returns. That's why if Dan Henry has 600,000 people in his audience and he's running a $5 ad, right? And he's getting comments and he's got someone in Messenger giving people that $97 offer. That's why he's going to have the highest return here than if he's going to run ads up here. Because what he was paying before per application, well, not application, per $97 sale was $300 for a $97 sale. Here, he's running a $5 ad and gets hundreds of comments on a single post. You can go look on his Instagram. They're all there, right? So the thing that we're going to focus on in today's training are these two things: the fast funnel and the power offer funnel. Now, knowing what we know, right? This is where my $5 ad strategy lives. This is where you start to get into conversion territory. And what do we know about conversion ads? They're expensive, right? So most people using a conversion ad can expect to pay about $150 per booked call. That's pretty expensive when you don't have, when you only have $500 to spend, right? So here's what they need to look like. Okay? Hang on one second. So let's talk about the fast funnel. I call it the fast funnel because, again, it's supposed to push the most volume out of the traffic that you have, whether this is cold or whether this is warm. In phase 1, we use this to cold traffic. Now, what can you expect from cold traffic? Well, you can expect only about 40% of those people that you message to respond. That's normal. That's why we want to build that invisible list as fast as possible so that we can only send the fast funnel to warm traffic, because that's where you're going to have the highest response rate. Okay? So here's what we want to do. Okay? Now, we want to create a Reels video or a story, however you want to do it, that's going to give away a value bomb. And I'll show you guys all of the different ways that you can create these types of ads, right? So we're going to run $5 a day. And then the way that I like to do it, I like to get people to comment versus sending them straight to Messenger. You could do it either way. I've got inside the program in the ROAS playbook, I give you guys both ways. And I understand there are some niches who will not comment below, and you prefer to do the direct DM, that's fine. But what we want to do is we want to have that Messenger conversation, right? Whether you're going direct to Messenger or you're taking them from comment to Messenger. We want to have this messenger conversation. Now, the thing that I told you guys is the lifeblood of my business, right? Every single day I want to talk to 10 new people. I want to identify who are my 10 warmest leads and my 10 hottest leads, right? The way that we do that is through these conversations right here, right? We want to get the 10 new leads by using this fast funnel, but then we want to bucket who are our 10 warmest leads and who are our 10 hottest leads through this diagnostic. Because we always want to be able to identify this, okay? Now, here's the thing, right? Our warm leads, if they're not ready to work with us, that's okay. Because our ecosystem is going to nurture them into becoming this, okay? But we always want to continuously follow up, right? Anytime that I'm doing a live workshop, a live challenge, or anything like that, I'm always going to go to my 10 warmest leads and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to always invite them. The 10 hottest leads, I'm going to continuously follow up with them. And I'm always going to send them what Nick Peterson calls the Be Helpful campaign. I love this. Because a lot of people forget to go back to the leads that they've been talking to in Messenger. So for instance, whenever I had the end of the year, right? This past last quarter, I was able to enroll 11 people into Lean on Laurel by doing this Be Helpful campaign. And what I did was I went back to my 10 hottest leads that I had in Messenger and I said, hey, I don't know if you heard this, but Google and Firefox and iOS, they're pretty much destroying the cookies, the third-party cookies that are happening. So even if you're running my ad strategy, if people are hitting your sales page, you might not be able to retarget those people. And I know that we've talked before, and you weren't really comfortable with setting up your own ads. Would you be comfortable with running my ecosystem if I did your ad setup for you and just taught you how to manage it? And I enrolled easy enrollment. But I went back to my 10 hottest leads and I just made them, I was helpful. I gave them the information that they needed. I showed them in a Loom video, here's what you need to do. But if you're not comfortable doing this yourself, here's what I'm going to do. It's one of the most powerful things. And so I get the question a lot, well, Laurel, I have a low ticket offer. I don't want to get people over the phone. I don't want to sell something high ticket. This, my friends, is how I sold 400 seats to my $7 program on the first day. I had over 3,000 conversations that I had had in Messenger when I started my business from April of 2018 to November of 2018. I literally went back to all of these people I had talked to about my coaching offer who couldn't afford it. So there was 400 seats off the bat. And then I sold another couple hundred from a Facebook Live that I did later, like over the course of 3 days. So before I had officially launched the $7 program, we had about 1,000 people in the program. Because I had people in Messenger just sitting there. Right? And so that's what's important about this fast funnel. And notice, some of those people in Messenger took months to sell them an offer, but I didn't know what to offer them until I had all those conversations. I was like, man, there's a whole bunch of people that can't afford a $2,000 program. I'm just going to take all my Facebook Lives and cheat sheets and throw it into a membership and do $7 a month and see what happens. And I just went back to all the people I talked to in Messenger, and that's how I sold my $7 program for the first time. Does that make sense? So how do you keep track of your 10 hottest and warmest leads? It's not that hard, guys. They're fucking written on my marker board right there. You tell me, like, and I'm just like saying, like, guys, you guys are making it way too complicated. Like, I'm looking at my 10 warmest leads, 10 hottest leads, and by golly, 4 of those are gonna be Lean on Laurel students today, because I gotta follow up with them. You guys are making it way hard. You can't keep track of 20 people? No, I know, Shelly. I'm just picking on you. But like, I don't have any, like, I use Kartra, but I don't have a CRM properly set up or anything like that. I'm at $4 million. I've got none of the shit that a lot of people think they need. I just keep track of my people. Like, I just keep track. I consider all of you guys friends. It's like talking to friends online. But I understand, like, people need data and all of that stuff. I just find that spreadsheets and all that complicate my business more than it needs to be. Like, when students send me spreadsheets, I'm like, I'm not even going to look at it. It's just tell me the information. It's not about having superpowers. It's just about, what is it that Alex Harmozy says? Things that get tracked get remembered or something like that. Like, things that matter most, just, I see it, right? Grant Cardone, he does this thing, and maybe this is where I got it from. One of the first books I ever read was Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. And I'm not sure if it's in that book or if it's in the 10X rule. It might be in the 10X rule. He says every single morning, as soon as he wakes up, he has a pen and paper that's by his bed. And he has a paper that's by his bed, and he writes down the 3 things that are most important to him every single morning. And if it doesn't make that list, it doesn't get thought about. And so at every single house, I've got marker boards. It drives my wife crazy. As a matter of fact, she made me move my marker board from our living room in our beach house into the guest room. But I have my 10 hottest leads, 10 warmest leads all the time. Like, I know them by name. I know what they do. I know their kids' names. And I always make a point to go and ask them how they're doing every single week. Don't try to sell them anything. Hey, just wanted to follow up and, did you do that thing we talked about last week? It is really that easy. Like, this is just a social game. Right? Yeah, like Kylie just said, eek, out of sight, out of mind, right? Yeah, I don't like that. Right? And it's energy. Whether you believe in woo-woo stuff or not, like attracts like. Just be human. Yeah, like Elise said, just be human. As a matter of fact, Nick likes to, like, sometimes, like, the way that we do things in Success Circle, Nick is always challenging me. He's like, I don't think Success Circle should even be online. He's like, I don't even think we should have a platform. I don't think, he's like, when people join, he's like, I just want you to pick up the phone and call them and welcome them. And then give them a calendar of dates to come and hang out with us. He's like, that's what I think Success Circle should be. He's like, I just think that it should just be a very humanized program. And that's what we do. Like, for those of you guys who didn't come to Phoenix, well, if you guys come to Phoenix, you'll experience this, because we typically go hang out at the mountain and have fun, and they like to swing swords. The guys like to swing swords and shoot guns. Some of the girls too. We drink beer by the fire. We talk about aliens and stupid shit, and we just have fun. But Like you guys like today, there's no fancy presentation. We're just having a conversation, right? I feel like these types of calls you guys are going to remember and retain much more than if I'm just presenting slides right now. So that's the fast funnel. Does anyone else have any other questions about this? Like you'll track what's important to you, right? Mr. Mike.
Yeah, that may sound like a basic question, but what is the exact definition of hottest lead and warmest lead? Is that the people who answer most to you? How do you know if it's, oh, those are the hot? Obviously, they don't answer, they're not hot. But between
Right.
hot and warm, how do you distinguish?
Yeah, so your hottest leads are the ones that are responding the most to you, right? Like they are just on the brink of being able to buy the thing. They're highly qualified and they're highly responsive, right? Your warm leads are the people who they are going to make a good fit, but they're really not a good fit right now.
And how do you define that? It's just you kind of sense it that the people who reply right away are like into it and they're almost there, and the other ones are
I'm gonna let you answer your own question that you just asked because I will be very disappointed if we've spent 2 days together and you don't know the answer to that question. And I'm just
that's
quizzing
what I
you.
would do. I mean, there may not be an exact definition, but if people reply quickly, seem engaged,
But what's the biggest thing that I've been teaching you guys how to do these last 2 days?
to offer value bombs that would reveal the next bigger problem that they need to solve.
Is that what I've been teaching you guys the last 2 days?
Well, that was part of it.
Tina, be a rock star. Tell Mike what I've been teaching you guys how to do this. And I'm not picking on Mike. I'm just making
No,
a
no,
point
I
because
love being, hold my feet to the fire. It's great.
I really want you guys to like this to be the takeaway. And if that's not the big takeaway, I've not done my job. Tina, what is the answer? What have I been teaching you guys how to do the next 2 days over the past 2 days?
We're basically doing diagnostics to see what people are and how we can
Yes.
them and
It's not
be fast.
about my strategy is never about the value bomb. My strategy is never about the ads. It's about this. My entire ecosystem is built around this. Like if you don't do this, you don't have a business.
Right. So the diagnostic is really to make it so that they begin to understand that they have a bigger problem that you could help them resolve.
Right. That's how you identify your hottest and warmest leads. And I was just pausing and stuff for dramatic effect with Mike. I'm not fussing at Mike. I'm just trying to like make sure that this today is the thing that you guys take away because this is the skill, honestly, right here. Because let me tell you guys, if you learn how to do this really well, you will have so many referrals you won't even know what to do with. Like, even if this person that you're talking to never buys from you, this will ensure that this person right here will send 10, 20, 30 people your way. And remember how I think Tina said it at the beginning, right? We have to be obsessed with our leads, like completely obsessed. And this is why, even though I don't need to have conversations with people anymore, I still do. Because the fact that I don't need to is because I still do. Right? And I say that with a smile on my face because and truly you have to fall in love with this process right here. And this is what I honestly think is what a lot of big gurus, that's why they're spending so much money on ads. Right? Like a lot of people like to brag about how much money they spend on ads. I'm like, I don't want to spend that much on ads. Go for it, man. Mr. Jasper.
Hey, so
Hey.
I'm coming from a previous, like the way I've done everything up to this point is very much been targeting those 2-3% who are ready to buy, right? Like I have two messengers who are sending 100 messages a day and doing this, that, the other, follow up, follow up, follow up. It's aggressive, pretty much. It's that whole like buy or die situation. And that's entirely how my business is set up right now, which is why obviously like yesterday I had that bit of a disconnect as well. Can those two things coexist? And is everything you're saying here something I can get them to be doing? And then like a follow-up thought on that as well is your whole like send the personalized Loom video, etc., etc., etc. My first reaction to that is that doesn't sound very scalable because that's something I'm doing and I can't have other people be doing. So can those two things exist? And what are your thoughts on that, really?
It depends, right? Because can they coexist? Absolutely. Because what you do right there, the clients that we work with that have LinkedIn, that's the LinkedIn strategy is direct outreach. And we use the ecosystem, right? So I'll actually draw this out, right? Because remember how I said my ecosystem works? It looks the same to everyone, right? So you've got your cold traffic, right? And what Jasper's doing, right, is he's got an outreach team, right? That's sending, would you say 100 plus messages a day?
Up to between like 80 and 100 a day, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming you're sending them to a VSL.
No, we're trying to put them onto phone calls through
Okay.
conversation.
So an application.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So he's got an outreach team, right? So it's still cold traffic. He's just not using ads, right? So if we look at this, right? So he's doing this. And then we've got, so this is outreach. And we've got ads here, right? So we've got our power content videos, right? So people who are clicking here and engaging in Messenger, they're still going to become part of our warm stack, right? Whether they respond to Jasper's team or not, they're still going to get put into the warm stack because they're clicking on something, right? They're engaging. Some of them might not, but for the most part. So now he's got all of this, so he could literally do the DM funnel here where he's giving away the value bomb. He's still going to have his boosted posts. He's still going to have his SOT 7 retargeting. So even if they don't get them here on the first run, there's an opportunity. Here, I'll do this. There's an opportunity here for the ecosystem to nurture the ones that aren't really responding to him. Does that make sense, Jasper? Like, this is what our clients who do LinkedIn outreach, they'll do this part on LinkedIn, and then we'll do the ecosystem across YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Mm. So then would you bring basically the added responsibility of if in that top right hand side they don't convert there, then we need to then bookmark basically the ones who were good conversations still, even though they didn't convert, add them to the warm list, and then I'd have the added responsibility of checking in with them periodically because they've now made it into my whatever the phrase is for the hot people, hot and warm.
What 100%, like, especially if you send them, like, so they don't go to book a call, that's okay. Send them to a free training that you can pixel the shit out of them to where they'll fall into the DM funnel at some point or another.
Mhm.
And they'll
Okay.
also be nurtured in the process with these other things. So you see how it what you're doing, it works well. That's just your lead gen, right? My ecosystem doesn't replace lead gen. My ecosystem is built around lead gen.
Yeah. I guess my thought or concern was like that organic lead gen is like the conversations are not aggressive. The conversations are nice and fine and amicable and everything. But it is still that little bit of a buy or die thing where it's kind of they're being pushed to a point and then it probably sours the relationship a little bit in some ways if you get them there and then it doesn't quite convert. And then it feels like it might actually be treading on the toes of the slower nurture idea because you've kind of not put yourself in as much favor as if you maybe didn't do that and you just let them in like the slow cooker, essentially.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna go totally like wild with this question, right? If Alex Harmozy messaged you, Jasper, would you respond?
Only after his third follow-up. No, yeah, of course I would, yeah.
Why? Why?
Well, because he's got the value he's built around him already, right?
Right. So what do you think your response rate is going to be whenever you're running a brand and value-based content strategy around what you're doing?
It'd be higher.
Yeah. We're not taking away anything that you're doing. As a matter of fact, if you need clients, that's what I recommend my students do. I used to send 100 emails a day when I first started to local businesses in Phoenix. I love outreach. I just don't need to do it anymore because I've done this part so much.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that's like the golden land is not having to do that anymore, right? So
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And Dr. Tony was asking about her challenge. Is there a challenge right here? Her challenge funnel. We're not replacing. My ecosystem is built around some type of lead gen strategy. Doesn't matter whether it's an ebook, doesn't matter whether it is a challenge, direct outreach, cold outreach. It's just built around that. It's just made to plug the holes in any lead gen strategy.
yeah, fair. Okay. Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah, great. That's a great question because I do get people, they're like, well, I'm doing cold outreach. I'm like, great. That's amazing. Like, what if you could retarget all of the people who are clicking on this application page and not moving forward? I apologize. If I'm coughing and stuff, it's gross. I know. Okay. So let's say that you don't have all of this fancy stuff, right? So this would be kind of I don't know, it's the ecosystem is the same, right? So let's actually talk about if you're having too many messenger conversations. Now, one of the things I want to tell you guys, right? I told you guys that 100 messenger conversations a week. But I want to briefly touch on something that Nick taught me that is called minimum effective dose, right? Some of you guys might not need to have 100 messenger conversations a week to hit your goal. Some of you guys might need only 30. So if you only need 30 messenger conversations, just do 30 messenger conversations. I just say 100 because we want the volume. Because when we don't have data, we need to get that data. Right? Does everyone understand that? Because I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I need 100 messages. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you might not. And by the way, inbound counts. Any messenger conversation that you have, it doesn't have to come from the fast funnel. If you're getting inbound messenger conversations, even better. Like, I don't have to do 2 steps anymore because people are already in my messenger wanting to ask me questions. Any type of way that you get these conversations, it does not matter. My conversion multiplier fast funnel strategy is just a way to accelerate that process. So if you find yourself and you're like, well, I'm having way too many messenger conversations, cool. Now you probably know exactly what people want, so you could write up a power offer. And I love using another script called How It Works. It's both. I just added them into the $7 program. I just reshot the power offer funnel training. I'm just going to briefly mention it here. I'll link it in the replay for you guys. But all we're literally going to do is we're going to send cold traffic straight to this. This ad will be $10 a day. This one will be $10 a day. And it goes straight to a Calendly link. That's it. Calendly link. And we're going to run these. And our KPI is $150 per booked call. And then because you've already built the ecosystem, right? It's going to catch all of the leads that are going to fall through. But this is phase 2. So when you're having too many conversations, right? We'll move our fast funnel here to where It's only going to the people who are watching our power content or hitting our application. Does that make sense? And then when you want to get fancy, and again, if you pay attention to this right here, when you're having 5 to 10 calls every single day and you're like, oh crap, I want to get higher quality people, boop, add in a VSL in front of the call. But honestly, I wouldn't even run. As a matter of fact, most of my clients who have a VSL funnel, they're not doing it in the traditional way. What we're doing is we're still doing it this way, even though they have a VSL. But when people book this call, we're using the VSL as the confirmation piece, as the first touch point. So when people are booking a call, my client is personally texting them and saying, hey, before our call, do you mind watching this 10-minute video? And guys, what we've noticed is the people who confirm the call by saying yes are the ones that are the easiest to close. And so we're still doing this. And I will say this, people who have call setters, most of the time, they never graduate from this because they're like, I like all of those leads coming in. But that's pretty much like most of my clients, they never leave this. Yep, exactly, Dr. Tony. Book a call, text to watch the VSL. As a matter of fact, whenever someone books a call, right? They fill the application, they book time on the calendar. We do something that's a 3x3. We send a text, an email, and a DM. This right here is super powerful. More people respond to this than this and this. But sometimes people do text, but we will literally do this for 3 days. The more that we can feed them stuff to watch and binge watch our stuff before that call, the higher the probability that they're going to close. So in the DM and the text, we're sending them case studies. We're having conversations. This will almost get you 100% show up rate. Almost. But this is literally like what a pre-call funnel looks like. A lot of people are just doing this and missing the forest for the trees with this. And the way that we do this is on the application when they're booking a call, they say, hey, what's your handle on such and such? I've got a bonus free training that I usually only share with my private clients that'll help you do XYZ. I would love to gift this to you. What's your handle? I'll personally send it to you. And so that's how we get their DM handle. But again, through this pre-call funnel, what are you guys noticing? What is the main goal? Conversation. A lot of times too, within this DM, when they're having conversations in Messenger, I'll get my clients to be like, hey, do you have some free time? They'll be like, yeah. I was like, why don't you just, instead of booking the call 3 days from now, why don't you just hop on the call with them now? The faster we can get them on the call, the hotter the close. Because if we let them sit and wait for 3 days, the longer that the call is out, the least like your chances of closing them go down and down. Let's see, Mr. Mike.
I have a few technical questions. So I'm looking at the power offer. So first of all, the last graph you shared on your screen, you have a power offer and a how it works, and so those are two separate ads. So the power offer would be only a text ad, whereas the other one would be a text ad with the 10 minutes how it works video. You're muted.
So there's different variations on it. So if you go into the phase 2 part of the program, I just shot a brand new training that has the SOP plus the setup in Ads Manager. That'll answer that question because there are several ads variations that go along with it as well.
Okay. I sent a link, an email, because somehow the links to the Facebook setup and YouTube were not working. I don't know if you got that link, that email forwarded to you already.
It worked. You just didn't click the video link that was in that document.
Okay. I get it now. And whenever you have, I'm looking at the 3 formats. You have the square, power offer with organic
Here,
photo.
I'll bring up the document so that everyone can see what we're looking at. Do. Okay. Yep. So this is now in the phase 2 of the power funnel setup. You are looking at these right here.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yep.
all these have also some text ad copy before them, right? And in that case, it would be the short version of the power offer, like the super short, like if I, calling out people, if I were able to do this for you, would you take me up on that offer? That's the text. And then, okay.
Correct. Yep.
And as far as Facebook compliance is concerned, not calling people out in sensitive niches. I know that in text ads, it's very important. However, in video, do you find that in video, it's more okay to say you and talk directly to prospects?
No, do not do that.
So even in the video, if it's a sensitive niche, you would rather speak in third person.
No calling them out in the video, no calling them out in the text, and no calling them out on the application or landing page.
Okay, that's really good.
Facebook will look at the entire funnel.
Okay, and the last one is for power content, you recommend to do 5-minute videos, but in horizontal format. Right. And what's the rationale behind the horizontal versus square, for example?
Well, I mean, if it's in square, it is horizontal, right? It's in the long, like the square will take up more inventory. The only way that I use the square is if I have the headline and the captions on it.
Okay. So power content horizontal or square, but conversion multipliers vertical reels.
Yeah, because they fit in the reels placement. And power content is designed to be in the newsfeed.
Okay. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great questions. So Kathy asked, define calling them out. So calling them out would be like, do you want to lose 10 pounds? Right? Whereas if I want to target people who, one, you should talk directly to your audience, right? And so in the power offers for one of my fitness clients who targets women over 40, we use a statistic. We say something like 85% of women who are going through perimenopause struggle to lose weight because they're doing this all wrong. Most of my clients who do my 3-step blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's how we just change the language to third person versus second person. But Kathy, you do Airbnbs. That's fine. You can call out people all you want.
Like I would call them out by their type. Like I did one for the Calling Louisiana Families.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. This is just in health related, anything that could be considered negative.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I like leading with statistics in those types of cases because if you are that person, you can't help but read. Right? So statistics work really, really well.
Can I add, Laurel, that I did, I don't think I did my video right, but it went really well for building up a business page for a lady in Lower Alabama, and we're targeting Louisiana families who like to fish and swim. and we got like 1,000 people on her page, and they all have last names like Boudreaux and this, and like um, she built up an invisible audience really well.
That's awesome. Keith.
All right, so I'm pretty sure you answered this, but I was unable to filter it. So I gotta ask. I've had a little over 500 conversations.
Okay.
I've converted two from all those people. But I think I messed up by thinking I was just going to keep having these conversations and those were my leads. So
Wait,
what should I have done after?
unpack what you just said. You had over 500 conversations and you thought those would be your leads.
Yeah, so I get from what I'm hearing is like, yeah, I'm having conversations, I'm getting these the diagnostics and we're talking, but those aren't, I mean, yes, they can be converted, but just because they said the word fit for my guide or whatever I have doesn't mean that that's like someone who's just ready to buy. So there's more that needs to happen to them to get them warmer and whatnot. Because I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about it.
Because it's an indirect offer. They're not saying yes to work with you. A power offer, they're saying yes to work with you. An indirect offer, they're asking for a free thing. But that
Right.
is still considered a lead.
Yeah, I was just looking at it in the terms of I think I was just like, all right, well, here's my lead pipeline. We just got to win from this. And I think that was, I could be wrong, but it was I was expecting, all right, well, we're having 5 conversations a day. Let's start putting metrics on converting these five, some of these five, right?
Yeah.
That didn't happen. It
So
was,
you can though, like you can take someone from cold to sold with one conversation.
I
It
did
just
it,
depends on
but I
how
didn't do it
it
enough.
just depends on how good you are at having that diagnostic.
The two people, so actually, I spent around like $3,000 to $4,000 trying to get all this going, and I converted one into like a short term, and then the other one that converted was actually through like another conversion, like a 21-day challenge, and
Mm-hmm.
then it converted to a year-long program. But I was unable to do that with enough people to keep spending that money. So I'm trying to figure out, all right, well, what did I do wrong, or what do I need to do next to make all these people? Because the thing that I offered, I mean, I had like I said, over 500 people type the word fit for this thing. So clearly they want it, but then I guess I just got lost in what to do to like,
What was the value bomb?
um,
And who is it for?
it's fitness related. Damn, I don't even, I think I've done a couple different since the one that really was kicking.
Who do you target? Who's your target demo?
Like in Ads Manager.
No, like who do you target? Like who do you work with?
Oh, men and women, 35. I mean, typically it's women 35 to about 55, who are struggling to lose weight.
That I would say you need to go deeper on that.
Okay. In my copy.
Well, yeah, who are like tell me more about men and women. That's very broad.
Right.
The broader you go, the more competition you have
Okay.
and the harder it is to target, right? So most of my fitness clients, they target like, I have one guy who teaches men ditch their dad bod who are stay-at-home dads by eating burritos. It's a very specific demo and it's a fun offer, right? So
I think that offer, that
you need to
power
figure
offer,
out, huh?
I think that one that's done the most, what the wording I had was parents, it's busy parents that need to lose X amount of weight or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Who do you like out of the people that you closed, what were the two outliers of those two people that you closed?
Um, well, they were totally different people.
Okay.
And um, that I don't really know. Like they're not my favorite clients. One of them ghosted like halfway through the short term. The other one I'm still working with, but it's just not an ideal person for me as far as where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about the ceiling, she's like below, or the floor, she's below the floor. Like zero knowledge, so it's very hard to coach. Um,
So why did you take her on?
I didn't realize. I guess I didn't. When she hopped in my challenge, things were going well, so we just converted from challenge. Hey, let's keep doing this, but we're still like in like ground zero with some of the things that she's just not comprehending. And I honestly didn't realize it until I've been working with her one-on-one that she didn't understand this stuff. It just seemed like she did because she lost like 8 pounds in our challenge and things were going good. And all of a sudden she just, I don't know what changed. Nonetheless, I can help her. It's just not my favorite, you know?
Who are your favorite to work with?
Well, I have a handful of females who have, they typically try a bunch of different diets. They've usually lost some weight, but keep gaining it back. So their metabolism is not as sharp as it needs to be.
So let
They're
me give you a really good example of how, like, because fitness, if you're not really specific on who you're calling out, you're gonna attract so many unqualified leads that you're gonna spin your wheels talking to people who will waste your time and stuff like this. So
That's what 500
I
conversation.
so I have a client and she has a really great offer for women over 40, right, who are going through perimenopause. And she was just simply calling those people out. I was like, that's okay, but I was like, I think you need to go into a more specific niche because again, you're going to talk to people who are not your ideal clients. I was like, tell me more about your clients. And she's like, well, these are more people who are, successful. They're, in corporate and stuff like that. I was like, your ideal clients are women who have achieved a level of success, right? They have got their shit together. They are either a super successful entrepreneur, they're making a shit ton of money, they're either a CEO or something like that. I was like, you need to start talking to these women. And so we started talking to them in a way. It's like, women who are successful AF, they are the leading boss woman at work. They come home, they're the leading star athlete, at home and all of this stuff. But the one thing that they struggle and it bothers the hell out of them is that they can't get their weight under control. They are super successful in every single aspect of their life except this one thing, and it bothers the hell out of them. And that is literally that's the tone that we take with all of her ads. But you see how that is a very different tone than someone who would be a stay-at-home mom who's diet hopping.
Right. Yeah, and those are the people I have a lawyer who's one of my favorite. I have an entrepreneur who's a therapist that's high achieving and she's very competitive with herself. I have all the
So
people
you
I
see,
like.
these are your people. These
Yeah.
are your people. Stop making content for all the other people that are below your floor. Talk because these people who are super successful, they've got the money. They've already spent the money, right? They've already tried all of this other shit, spent thousands of dollars. They're already super successful, and it bothers the shit out of them that they can't get this one thing under control.
Yeah, and that's true. Like that's exactly. I mean, I can think of multiple conversations right now. With like yesterday, I had one, and she's like, "Oh, you say a number, I'm gonna make it happen. You say you like
Mhm.
she's like, I'm gonna make this happen." Now that she understands what I'm teaching her works,
Yep.
that's who I want. I want people who I don't have to meet 4 times a week on Zoom because they're
You won't want to,
down
and they
dead.
won't want to get on Zoom
Right.
with you.
Exactly.
They're like,
Those are
I
the
just want you
people.
to send me what I need to do this
Yeah.
week, mail the food to my house, and I'm good.
Yeah, and that's how they are. They're the ones that I've been trying, like the Voxer, like the voice and the video stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm not spending all this time on Zoom because they're like, no, I understand everything you tell me is the truth. It works. Let's just keep going however we need to. So I just don't know how to talk to them, I guess. I don't say things like boss lady, you know?
No, don't say boss lady.
So I don't
Like
know.
my client, I was like, can you just say successful AF? Because I was like, I would identify with that. Like,
Right.
but find your voice, like find your voice in it. Like, like Jay Jackson, it's funny because Jay Jackson mostly works with males, but the way that he talks resonated with me because he's like, my clients don't want to go to the gym. They're entrepreneurs. They are busy. They're like, they want to do stuff in their office. They don't want to freaking meal prep either. Like, he's like, I'll give them stuff to go order from get Chipotle order to their door. Like, I tell them exactly, like, I was like, that resonated with me. I'm like, fuck, yes, this is what I want. I don't want to waste time doing all this other shit. Just tell me what I need to do my numbers for me, and send me a thing every single week of here's what you get sent to your door. Here's the equipment that you could do in your office. Just do it. Check in with me once a week, and I will hold your ass accountable.
Yeah. No, that's it. So I got to figure out how to talk to that person, right? Yeah.
Just borrow what I just said and just say it in your own way. Because most highly successful people, that's the language they're gonna resonate with. They're just gonna be Like, hey, you don't want to waste time meal prepping. You don't want to go to a gym. Like, you are busy AF and you need a workout situation that's going to work for you. But what if I literally sent your food to your door? I literally said, you know, you don't have to hop on a million Zoom calls. Like, you literally just check in with me once a day. I guarantee you will spend less time with me and lose more weight than any other person that you've ever worked with before.
Yeah, I think in fitness, I've been speaking more to the person who needs to get off the couch, and I don't want to talk to that person.
No,
And it's
no.
hard because you feel like that's what fitness is, but it's not. It's like some people are doing things, and I guess you see where that's easy to go into, like trying to get someone off, like, hey, to motivate them or whatever, and that's really not
Oh,
what
yeah, because fitness people get really excited. They'll be like, "Laurel, I did a value bomb and I got 1,000 comments." I was like, "No, you don't want 1,000 comments. You want to find that fine balance because you only want to attract the people who are high quality."
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful. That's probably so. Just to clarify, I get the voice of that, but those 500 conversations, had I been speaking to that person, I probably wouldn't need to do much else.
You wouldn't have gotten 500 conversations. You probably would have had 10 and you probably would have closed 8 of them.
It was over like 4 months, so it wasn't like super
Yeah.
quick. Nonetheless, it would have been less volume, but more quality, just in that nature right there.
100%. Okay. I've got about 10 minutes left because I got to go to the doctor, get this shit under control. Mr. Danny.
I have a question. So I'm in tier 2. I have how it works going to my cold audience. Is it okay? I also added a section where, hey, can you give me your handle so I can send you a cool video? Some people give me the exact handle. Some people just give me their name, and I send them a text and I ask for clarification. Is it okay if you ask another qualifying question on your Calendly, like, this call is, if you're interested, like, are you able to, do you have the resources to invest if you fall in line and if we fall in line with our working together? Is that okay or no?
That's fine. If you need to add some friction, that's 100% fine. If you need practice on sales calls, I would omit it.
Okay, cool. And it seems to me like in tier 2, when I have my how it works offer to the cold audience, and I have my conversion multipliers, and I have my boosted post, and I have my hot 7, like, I guess at that level, at that section, you kind of do the flywheel also, right? You're kind of replacing things as time goes on, right?
Well, I'm only doing the flywheel if things aren't hitting KPI.
Got it. So right now, what I'm doing is I have conversion multipliers that I put new conversion multipliers every 3 days, and I have my boosted posts. I have a CTA that goes to a Calendly. Is that okay? Like, what's your schedule on the second level of nurturing your audience?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like, okay, so I have two conversion multipliers running in tier 2. Do I let them run for a week and then change it? Do I let it run for 3 days and change it? Like, what's your
If
measurement?
I don't, here's what I would do. Like, if I don't have a conversion multiplier that's bringing in messenger conversations, if I was you, like, if I were you, I would literally be doing one every single day and throwing it up there and just, I would be desperate. I would probably even launch 5 or 6 of them a day until I got the messenger flow that I wanted.
So 5 or 6 a day, every day until you started getting a messenger flow,
I would not stop.
and
Like,
just
until
and
I was
keep on
having,
replacing them, right? Keep on replacing the
Mhm.
one that you did yesterday.
Yep.
Got it. And then instead of this boosted post, can I just create content and have it go to a CTA for a Calendly link? That could be a boosted post, right?
You absolutely can. Like, if you, instead of wanting to boost it inside like on their front page, you could always, like what Jay Jackson does, as a matter of fact, he doesn't boost on the front page. He goes into Ads Manager and he has a campaign just for his boosted posts. And he just sets a deadline for every 3 days, the ad dies.
Got it.
And he just throws them all in Ads Manager and just puts a set date, like that way he can go and turn them back on
Yeah,
and
that's
run
what I
them
do.
longer if they work. Yep.
I have my own campaign for that. All right.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Shelly.
All right, so I work with Christian writers, and I'm walking on a treadmill, so I want to turn it off. And the calling out, they have identified my pixel as religious and they've
Mhm.
given me that thing. So do I need to really be careful about calling people out?
No, I don't think like whenever you like I think that calling out straight up is just kind of tacky, right? So I
Yeah,
always try to identify like give give that first line some pizzazz that will call them out without calling them out. As a matter of fact, that's what I tell ChatGPT when I'm writing copy. I'm like, I want to call out these people without calling them out directly. So, for instance, right? You probably, since you work with Christian authors, right? There's
right,
probably a reason why you created this offer. There's probably something with secular offer, like author programs, that probably rubbed you the wrong way. And so
right.
you could say something like, as a Christian author, I was repelled by a lot of other programs that taught XYZ because they didn't align with my values. So you see what
Yeah.
I did there? I didn't say, "Hey, Christian authors." I
Mhm.
used a personalized identifier. I like using identifiers versus callouts.
Okay. But yeah, and I will do that for sure. But in my videos, like if I'm repurposing things, a lot of times I will just call them out or say things. And so I didn't know if I could get in trouble for that
You're
or
okay. You're okay. I don't think anyone would see that as negative. I have a client, Michelle Prince, who is a Christian author and has a very similar program as you,
okay.
and he hasn't had any issues.
Okay. Because they're giving me all these warnings of like, we've identified you as this and that. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. And so
Yeah,
this is
I would just always from moving forward, I wouldn't worry about anything that you've already done. I would just moving forward, just how can I make this a self-identifying line versus a call out?
okay. Yeah. And I really appreciate these 3 days, even though yesterday I was like an overwhelm and I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing anything right. I need to create all new ads and everything. It's starting to click more and more. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Mike. And then we'll rock and roll. Mr. Jasper will take us home. Mr. Mike.
That's a quick one.
Yeah.
Do you have any data in terms of what works best doing a video, whether it's power content or an offer out in front or power offer in front of a whiteboard versus you sharing your iPad screen and doing all the colors? Have you found that people respond better to one versus the other or not?
So my data is my data, right? Tina's
I love
data,
that.
Tina's data is her data. You don't know, right?
Okay.
I will say this. What I have found is that when I use my whiteboard, I get more attention. And I find this with my clients. And I'm only saying this because I think there's a psychological thing that goes along with that. Because I think as kids, we were trained when the teacher went to the blackboard, we were trained to pay attention. And so I think that's why whiteboard videos do so well because it's psychologically ingrained in us as children.
And also they get to see you all the time in terms of your nonverbal communication, your face versus you being just a small dot if you do the
100%. And I think it's more credibility too. It's hard
right.
to fake knowledge whenever like it I feel like it just gives off that expert vibe because if someone can loosely draw what they're trying to convey, it's really hard to memorize a script plus memorize what you're supposed to draw,
Makes
right?
sense. Thank you.
Like
Very
Sean
helpful.
says, you can't copy and paste. And I know, Mike, you asked a question a while ago about the horizontal video. For
Mhm.
anyone who's wondering, vertical versus horizontal, I use horizontal video when I want to come off as an authority. I use vertical when I want to have a conversation with my audience.
That's a silent selling from Justin Demers, right?
Yep, exactly. So some of my hot seven, it's vertical because sometimes I'm having a conversation with my audience.
Got it. Thanks, Laurel. Was
Yep.
awesome 3 days. Lots of value.
Yeah, thank you. Jasper, take us home.
Hey, yeah, just a quick one from me as well. The conversation you're having, like maybe 2 people ago with the other fitness guy. Sorry, man, I've forgotten your name. I've like as my power offer, I drew up someone very similar but male. And I just kind of I wondered if those sorts of people who obviously identify as a slightly more um articulate lead or whatever, you know, like a slightly more challenging style of lead because they're a slightly more challenging type of person. That's how they got to where they are in a way. Are they going to be less likely to like raise their hand? Are they going to less likely to comment on something, less likely to do those sorts of
they're never gonna
yeah.
raise their hand or comment on anything. They're literally gonna consume your content and just say, "Hey, mate, what's the link?"
Yeah. So if
They're
you're
not gonna want to hop on a 60-minute call. They're just literally gonna be like, "Hey, um, I've been watching your content for a while. Do you think blah 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 blah?" They're gonna ask you one simple question, and then they're gonna be like, "Cool, can you send me the link to pay?"
yeah, because I've been wondering, all of my KPIs on my conversion multipliers and stuff are good, but they're not getting very many comments and they're all geared towards targeting those sorts of people. So I wondered if that was a plausible reason as to why.
Yeah. But also it could be that the conversion multiplier didn't resonate with that type of person too, because we do have conversion multipliers that people of that caliber do respond to. It just has to be something that they are super interested in because they don't have time to waste.
Mm, okay. Yeah, they could probably be a bit more targeted to that person, but I just wondered if it was a situation with that type of person where could be, I'm not saying I make these, but it could be the best conversion multiplier ever made. But because they're that sort of person, they're just like, yeah, I'm not going to make myself visible on social media saying yes to something like that.
Oh, there's a conversion multiplier that my client Seth uses, and he literally just it's like a guide, five workouts that you can do in your office without even changing out of your suit.
Right. And they comment on that, do
Yeah.
they? Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Just setting
Yeah,
expectations.
and he's Instagram. Most of my fitness clients only use Instagram.
Yeah, I find that
Instagram
converts.
and TikTok. But
Yeah.
the older ones tend to sway towards Instagram.
Yeah, it seems to convert better for sure. All right, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys for spending the last couple of days with me. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value. The replay will be posted shortly in the accountability club. And hope you guys are enjoying these kind of more intimate blitzes. You guys like this? Awesome. Yeah, my vision for momentum was more so like let's roll up our sleeves and get work done than just like me teaching you guys a whole bunch of new stuff that you guys don't need to know. Awesome. Well, I'm going to head to the doctor and I will see you guys on Sunday if you guys attend the call with Nick and I. Highly recommend it. He always brings a different tone to stuff. And so, yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys Sunday. If not, I'll see you guys inside Success Finder and I'll see you guys on the next call.